Hey YouTube, so I am here to do my November wrap-up video. I read 5 books this month and I'm very excited about that. I was moving back to my parents at the end of the month, and so things were kind of hectic with that and sort of stressful, as well as trying to finish school assignments for my online course. So it was very hectic, especially the last week. I had something pretty much every day. It was nuts. I also planned to participate in NaNoWriMo in November, but it didn't happen. I maybe only wrote 1,000 words. I couldn't get into it, and things were just very stressful for me, so I didn't get a chance to participate like I wanted. But yes, so hopefully next year things will not be so wacky crazy. So I have 5 books here to show you that I've read. 3 of them are actually audiobooks, which I'm very excited about. I never really read audiobooks before. I find them very difficult to get into the story. And the 3 books I was able to read in audiobook format, I was able to get into the story and follow along, because names I have trouble with when I'm listening to audiobooks. I can't seem to catch on to the names very well. But without further ado, let's get started with the video. So the first book I read was The House of Thunder by Dean Koontz. So it's not a very large book. I flew through it in like 2 or 3 days. It took me very little to read, and I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it like a 3.5 star rating. It was a really good book. It's about, if you don't know much about Dean Koontz, he's very similar to Stephen King, and which I've only actually read 2 Stephen King books, and this is my second Dean Koontz book. But from what I've heard, they are very similar in their writing and what they write about. So yes, so this book has to deal with a young woman who wakes up in the hospital and she doesn't really know how she ended up there. She was told she was in an accident, but it's all a blur. She can't remember anything, not even about her job or even about what she used to do, any of it. And she only remembers things that had happened way back when she was in college, that took place in the House of Thunder, and these 4 boys who basically terrorized her. And yes, so things really take off from there when she wakes up from the coma she was in. It was just a phenomenal read. It was really good. I gave it like a 3.5 rating. But yes, it was very good. The other book I read by Dean Koontz, Night Chills, I liked a lot more than this one. Not to say that this one was terrible. I really enjoyed reading it, and I was so attached to this book while I was reading it. It was pretty much my commute book for the week, and it was a very good read. I definitely felt that the main character, Susan, was a little annoying. I feel like her thought process was a little off, and again, it could have been because, you know, she woke up from a coma. She was maybe not altogether there, but I felt she was kind of annoying. I don't really know how to explain it, but I just felt she was a little annoying. I didn't like her as much, but she was still a good character. She wasn't my favorite character that I've ever read from. So the other book I read this month was The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. I absolutely loved this book. I gave it like a 4-star rating or a 4.5-star rating. I absolutely loved it. I flew through it pretty quickly. The chapters are very short. So this story follows 2 characters, Natasha and David. Natasha is Jamaican, and she'll be deported by 10 o'clock at night or whatever time at night. So it starts off like in the morning. She wakes up and she is going to the office, to the deportation office, to try and get things changed so they don't have to be deported. And along the way she meets David, who is very much pondering his future, and he's on his way to his college interview. He's kind of nervous about it because it's not what he really wants to do. He's doing what his parents want him to do, and is to become a doctor, and he doesn't want to be that. So these 2 meet very unexpectedly, and it's kind of like a meet cute situation. And yes, the story takes off from there. It takes place throughout the whole day, which is awesome, and it was just a phenomenal read. I think I flew through the last half of the book like within a day. Like, it was an incredible read. I could not put it down. It was amazing. And the chapters, it actually takes place in Natasha's and David's point of view. along with a few other random characters along the way that they meet, or you just sort of hear about it, or just mentioned, which is kind of neat. It kind of makes the story more real, and it kind of gives you a look into other people's lives besides the main characters. It was just a really cool book to read. I read Everything by Nicola Yoon, and I really enjoyed that book, and I really enjoyed this one. So yes, I cannot wait for her to write another story because it was an amazing read. So the other 2 books I read were audiobooks, and I was very excited to read them. And the 2 titles are actually from a series, but they're all like standalone on their own in a way. And the first book was Their Kidnapped Bride and Their Wayward Bride, both by Vanessa Vale. And these books are kind of a sexy book. I both enjoyed reading them. They were very good books. Again, I only gave them like 3-star ratings, which I usually do for like romance, erotica type books. I don't really give them too high of a rating, because I find that, well, I found with these 2 books, they were very short. They're only like, I think 200 pages, and well, translated to audiobook, they're only like 3.5 hours long. So I felt like you can only do so much within that time frame to get your readers to connect with the characters. So it was kind of like, I don't know, I couldn't connect with the characters very well. And yes, it was a good book to read. I listened to them on my commute to work, and I really enjoyed them, but I couldn't like get into them as much as I had wanted. And the last book I read this month was They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. Now, I loved this book. I think I gave it like 4.5 star ratings. I did not expect I was gonna like it that much. I was at work, and I often listen to my music while working, if I'm working on something kind of mindless. And I thought, okay, after I finished the one audiobook I was reading, I was like, I kind of want to read another audiobook. So I quickly went on and I looked on my on the Libby app, which is the app I use to download audiobooks through my library, my local library. And I went through it, I looked at the ones that were available right now, and They Both Die at the End popped up. And I thought, I'll try it. And I absolutely loved it. I read the first hour or so of it, and I absolutely loved it. And, well, at first I was like, kind of like, it's okay. It's not my favorite book, but I'll continue reading it because I want to know what happens, even though the title is kind of self-explanatory. Yeah, I just absolutely loved it, and I finished reading it on the 29th, I believe, and I had like 3 hours left. I was like, I'm not going to finish it. I'll just like read maybe an hour more and then I'll stop. That didn't happen. I just kept on reading it. It was amazing. I absolutely loved it. Cannot tell you more how much I enjoyed it. I actually planned to buy a physical copy of it because I loved it that much. I really loved the concept of it. And for those of you who do not know, They Both Die at the End is about society now. Society now is very different. People actually, you don't die unless Deathcast phones you, which is a service, or however you want to put it, that will tell you when you're going to die. And, well, not when necessarily, but they're going to tell you you're going to die today. And so these 2 boys both get that notification that they're going to die some point throughout the day, and they decide that they want to not be alone on their last final day. And yeah, so they meet on this app. It was an amazing book. Again, it was in their point of views as well as other people throughout the book a little bit, and usually those points of views were very short, but I absolutely loved it. It was amazing. I absolutely loved that book. I wasn't expecting to love it as much as I did. I really enjoyed it, and I plan to go out and buy a physical copy of it because it was that good. Because I need people to read this book. I need to like give this book to people and be like, read it. It was amazing. So yes. So the book I thought I would quickly mention that I'm currently reading is City of Fallen Angels by Cassandra Clare. So I'm not terribly far in. Like I'm a little more than halfway through it. I had started it within the month as well. And as well as I had other books I planned to read this month, but I didn't get to them. Or I only read a little bit of them and I went to something else. Like I told you, that's a perfect example of a mood reader. So yes, but I'm very happy with what I read this month. And I'm very happy to have picked up this book and to get into reading it. And I'm really enjoying it so far. So yes. So that's all I have here for you today. And I'll get back to you with another video soon. Bye!